I want to say greetings, everyone. Greetings. I am Franklin. I'm here today to talk to you about something very near and dear to me. But first, let's talk about who we are. We are post-traumatic hood disorders. I am the founder of post-traumatic hood disorders, and I want you to, if you have any questions, any concerns, any things you need help with as far as post-traumatic hood disorders, you can always go to healpthd.com. But without further ado, let's get into these hood-based traumas. All right. Appreciate your time for being here. I hope that you get something from this message and this presentation. And without further ado, I would like for you to spread this information to as many people as you possibly can. And let's share how we can heal PTHD. Because first of all, PTHD is something that's not really spoken about too often here, if at all. It hasn't been acknowledged very much. And for the most part, this is why we do what we do. So let's jump right in. Please forgive the screen. The slide is not acting right for me right now, but hey, we got to do what we got to do. All right, so first things first is, who am I? Who is Jasir Franklin, right? Well, I am, like I said, the founder of post-traumatic hood disorder. I am a Ifa Awo, which is a Nigerian spiritual practice. And within that umbrella, I am an Ori spiritual coach. All right. Ori meaning your mind, which is your purpose, basically. I'm a spiritual coach in that area where I help guide people to find their purpose. I'm an author of PTHD, How I Survived South Central. Is it out just yet? It will be out in November, but it's coming. All right. Also, again, I am a purpose guide. I help people to find their purpose and guide them in that direction spiritually. I am a survivor of South Central, and I am a spiritual MC. Yes, I do music. So I add all this stuff together. You got Jasir Franklin. Now, what is hood-based trauma? Let's talk about that. What is hood-based trauma? Well, for short, you're going to see HBT throughout this presentation. So now you know what it means. Hood-based trauma. Now, hood-based trauma is this. It's when it's when the trauma of living in the hood becomes woven into your identity, shaping how you see yourself, your relationships, and even your future. How you see yourself. Here are some of the signs so that you know, if you want to know if you got this stuff, here go some of the signs. I can go through all of them. I can go through a few of them. I'm going to try to get through this quickly as possible. Bear with me, please. All right. So the first sign is self-medication with alcohol and drugs. People who drink alcohol and drugs usually have an issue, right? Now, in our case, there's liquor stores on every corner. Now there's a dispensary on every corner. Somebody knows that if you have hood-based traumas, you're going to need some of that. So they're making it readily available for you now. But liquor stores have always been in the neighborhood. Now they're adding the weed dispensaries. So if you find yourself gravitating to those things often, check for hood-based traumas or call us. Next one is proving toughness to avoid looking weak. You always have to flex and act like you're so hard, the most aggressive person in the room. My father always told me, the loudest person in the room is the weakest person in the room. But proving that you're tough is a telltale sign that you are suffering from hood-based traumas or HBTs. Watching out for every car rolling by. You ever been with somebody from the hood and they always doing like this? They're always looking over their shoulder. Well, that's because they've seen a few too many drive-bys. So, yeah, where we come from in the hood, yeah, looking over your shoulders is a must. Next one, expecting the worst to happen over the good. People that come from the hood always look for the worst to happen. It's a real thing. They always look for the worst to happen. They rarely expect the good to happen. And that happened to me. Short story, about 5 years ago, I was going to the DMV to register my car. And when I go to the DMV, I always expect it's going to be a long line or something. They're going to find something on my record. I got to pay some extra money. Like, you always expect something extra, right? But this time I walked in there, it was nothing on my record. It was, here's the fee, you're done, bye-bye. When I left that place, I felt like I was floating. Like, are they gonna try to catch me at the front door or something? Like, it was one of those things. But that's a hood-based trauma, because we always expect the worst things to happen when you come from the hood. The next one, feeling nothing when you hear police sirens or helicopters or shots fired. Like, you just keep going about your day like nothing ever happened, right? Because this is what you expect. This is what you grew up seeing. So that's definitely, especially if you live in South Central LA, helicopters are always flying. People just get used to it now. All right. But all these things, let me tell you again, are not normal. Even in a safe place, feeling like you can't fully let your guard down is another hood-based trauma. Signs of hood-based traumas. Like, even in a safe space, the ocean could be over here, the waves could be crashing against the rocks or whatever. You can be on vacation, you can be somewhere in a whole different city, but you always are going to be, again, looking over your shoulder, but you can never feel safe. You always feel like something's about to happen. Definitely a hood-based trauma. Next, you refuse to wear red or blue, even if you were not affiliated with any gangs. Well, I'm a prime example of that. I was in Atlanta a few years ago. I was walking on this beautiful, gorgeous trail in the forest with next to a huge lake. And I saw some guys coming, approaching me about maybe 100 yards ahead of me. But they were coming my way, and everybody in that crew was wearing red. My alert automatically went up. Again, I didn't feel safe even in a safe space. I expected the worst out of things. It was just one of those things. All of those 2 meters started going off. But when I remembered that I'm in Atlanta, and Atlanta people wear a lot of red, doesn't mean that they're Bloods. I'm not even a Crip, you know what I mean? But it's not my thing. But it did catch me off guard, because I've seen a lot of that happen. When I see that color, I've seen things like that happen, where people get into fights and shootouts. It was a thing. But that's a real thing. You can't, if you're from LA particularly, because this is the land of red and blue, Crips and Bloods. But even if you're never affiliated, even Tupac said what? Every cat in LA got a little bit of thug in them, right? Because if you grew up in this situation, you know what it is, and it's woven, like I said, into your reality. So yeah, that's another thing too. Last but not least, accepting or resigning yourself to being a baby mama or a baby daddy, rather than seeking a healthy co-parenting relationship, family structure is absolutely a sign of hood-based trauma. In the hood, they accept being baby mamas and baby daddies. And to a degree, the co-parenting thing is becoming the thing too. It's replacing the concepts of baby mama and baby daddy, but it's still the same thing. Whatever happened to just working on myself, finding the right partner, a partner that's compatible with me, that we share same values, that we would like to instill into our children, waiting for that to happen, and then procreating after marriage and making sure we're secure with the family, over being a baby mama or a baby daddy. There's a lot that goes more into that. We'll explain that later on. How HBTs affect you. Well, let's talk about that real quick. So, growing up in the hood, you're going to have chronic stress. Living in survival mode rewires your brain to expect danger. When you live in constant survival mode, you're going to always, like I said in the previous slide, expect the danger. And then depression and hopelessness kicks in. Loss and disappointment creates despair. Because when you grow up in the hood, it's a lot of losses and it's a lot of despair. It's a lot of hopelessness. Tupac once said, again, not picking on Tupac, right? I live the thug life, baby. I'm hopeless, right? He said that he's hopeless living in that life, and it's a whole lot of thug life. What he means by the thug life, he meant by living an urban ghetto life. Living that life creates hopelessness and depression. And that's one big thing I think that we need to identify, because I had to do it myself, is identify that I was depressed coming out of that environment. Emotional numbness means you're shutting down feelings becomes the coping mechanism. They have a thing in the hood where they always talk about, I really don't give a, you know what, right? That's because they're emotionally numb. Their emotions have left the room, their logic has left the room, and emotions are ruling. So again, HBTs affect people drastically. I want y'all to understand, I can't drive this home enough, right? Hypervigilance and anger. Small triggers lead to big reactions. Stepping on someone's shoe, looking at someone wrong, like the smallest things. People take words and try to overly dissect them and become detectives and try to interpret for somebody else when they probably don't even mean what they're thinking, right? But hypervigilance and anger, these things, I can't explain that enough. There's so many people in jail right now, are dead and in the grave right now because of this very thing. Survival-based identity. Trauma becomes part of how we define ourselves. You can be at work in a Fortune 500 company and someone in your next cubicle is just making you so upset by how they're acting towards you, playing their radio too loud, whatever they're doing, right? And then you go over there and talk to them and they say something that you are, again, hypervigilance about, and it's a small trigger for you, and then you become emotionally, show your emotional numbers because you don't really care, and then you start overly expressing, well, they got me messed up because I'm from, and you start expressing where you're from, like where you're from is supposed to matter to everybody else. Like everybody else didn't go through that like you did. Everybody else didn't go through it, have the experiences that you had. But you're in a Fortune 500 company, making this money, living in this house, living in this zip code, driving this car, able to take these trips and do all these great things. And guess what? You still worried about where you came from. Yeah, you will have HBTs. All right, so the cycle of survival, let's talk about that. First, the trauma happens. Violence, losses, neglect, instability, right? Then you have emotional survival mode, which puts you in that after you experience the trauma. So after you experience the trauma, it has to be recorded and something has to be done with it. Your brain has to process it and do something with it. So now, depends on your emotional intelligence or your intelligence period. Your body does something and it records that action and it becomes a pathway for you to decide how to deal with things. So emotional survival mode comes in. You start shutting down feelings and being hypervigilant, and anger comes to the place. Now, maladaptive coping. Now, substance use, numbing the behaviors, or acting out becomes your next step. So now you start developing, like I said, that I don't give a you know what attitude. You start drinking more, hanging out with people who do the same things. Like you create a whole crew of y'all or even a gang of y'all, right? You start doing these things. Yeah, this is exhausting. I know, all right, y'all. The normalization of dysfunction. Trauma becomes just passed down to the children now. It becomes normal. You start telling your children how life is supposed to be, and it's not how it's supposed to be. It's about how it was for you. But our job as the people who are in this life is to master our experiences so that our children don't have to. But that just comes with the dysfunction of hood-based traumas or post-traumatic hood disorders. Now, what does renege mean? Well, let's give a definition to it. Now, because that's what this whole thing is about, right? So renege means to revoke, withdraw, turn back on what no longer serves you. Now, see, when you're in the hood, these things serve you because you're amongst all of this around you every day. You need that. But if you're a person looking to do better in life, you must renege on all of those ideologies. It doesn't work any other way. You have to revoke, withdraw, or turn your back on what no longer serves you. That means you need to make a choice. Let's talk about the power of choice. Hood-based trauma isn't your fault. Let's talk about that. It isn't your fault. Where you grew up at, where you were born, is not your fault. But healing is your responsibility, which means you have to make a choice. There's a scene in Boys in the Hood, which you see this image here on the left side. I got this image from that movie. And that movie was pretty near and dear to my heart. I think I appreciate it even more now that I'm out of that mindset because I can see it clearer now. But in this movie, Boys in the Hood, Cuba Gooding played Trey. And Trey had a friend named Ricky. Ricky gets killed in this movie. When Ricky gets killed, Ricky had a big brother named Doughboy who was a gang member. The gang member Doughboy was looking to go find the killer of his brother. Trey went along for the ride. While along with the ride, I guess Trey had a chance to reflect and think about, this is not right. I don't want this to hunt me. I don't want to go to jail and prison the rest of my life. He started rethinking this choice that he just made. And he does this famous thing. And he asks his Doughboy, he says, "Hey, Doe, let me out. Hey, Doe, let me out." And Doughboy pulls over the car and lets him out. Now, Trey's decision, even in his pain, you can choose, even in your pain, just like Trey, you can choose to be different. Trey's decision didn't erase the hurt that he was feeling, but it stopped it from multiplying, for him at least. Did Doughboy and them still go get those guys? Absolutely. But for him, it stopped it from multiplying the pain that he had, because once his brother, his friend is gone, if he went and got those guys like Doughboy did, he will have to carry that along with him too. Even in your pain, you can still make a choice. Now, neuroplasticity is the way that we make this choice. It's the brilliance of the brain. It's the brilliance of God who gave us this part of our brain, or this access to our brain, to make new files and to create new choices that creates new realities for us. Let's walk this out and see what it looks like to be neuroplastic. Practice neuroplasticity. For me, I had to make the same choice as Trey in my real life, realistically. About 20 something odd years ago, a friend of mine that I grew up with had a little brother named Rashad. He was only 15. Rashad had began to go down the wrong road a little bit. One day, me and my friend were hanging out, went shopping and stuff, and I had brought him back to the house because I was driving that day. Dropped him off, and when I dropped him off, we saw Rashad coming back to the house. We're like, "What's up, Rashad? How you doing, bro? Where you going? What you doing, boy?" He was a youngster to us, right? He says he's about to go up to the park, hang out with some of his friends, and kick it, which is right around the corner, basically. We're like, "All right, man, be safe." I drop my friend off, I get it back in my car, and I drive back home, which was basically 45 minutes away. Before I can put my key in the door, my friend is paging me. Back then we had pagers, yes, it's that old. He's paging me. I'm like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Okay, let me get in the house and call him back." I called him back, and he's like on the phone, bawling, crying, losing it. Like, "They got him, man, they got him." Like, I'm like, "Calm down, bro. What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Rashad, they got him." Rashad was at the park, and he was hanging out with his friends, like he said. And there was an alleyway that came through the park, the back part of the park, obviously. And they were hanging by the swings. The swings were right by that alley. And then there was a walkway that cut through that same park that led to the next street over. So like a catwalk. Some bloods had come through the catwalk and snuck through from the other block where you couldn't detect them, and came into the park and AK'd them up. Rashad was right in the immediate line of fire and got shot 15 times, 16 times. Died on the scene. When I heard this, I drove back to LA. And of course, I met my friend's house. His mom, everybody's losing it, of course. And that evening, my friend decided he was going to go try to figure out who that was and get them. I get in the car with them. This was my little brother, too. I get in the car with them, and I did the same thing Trey did. I said, "Hey, yo, let me out, man." He's like, "What you mean, bro? Where you going?" I said, "Man, I'm going home. I'm not doing this. I love Rashad, too, but this is not going to make me feel no better. And I don't think it's going to make y'all feel no better. And plus, I don't want to spend the rest of my life in no prison if we happen to get caught doing any of this. And it's not going to bring Rashad back." They let me out of the car. I called my friend. They came and picked me up, took me back to my car, and I went home. What happened that night? It's none of my business. I wasn't there. Don't know. But I had to literally make the same choice as Trey. Now, this is before me knowing anything about hood-based traumas. I just knew that that wasn't right for me. Now, you want to know how to renege on HBT specifically? Just like a vegan at a barbecue. This is my favorite slide, by the way. Just like a vegan at a barbecue. I'm a vegan, so every time I go to some place with my family, especially they're having a 4th of July party, a Thanksgiving, whatever it is that I happen to attend, which is very rare. This is how I feel. Like, I chose to go vegan 20 years ago, and my family hasn't made that choice yet, so they're still eating certain things, and they act as if I'm supposed to join in the festivities every time I come around, and I'm like, nah, I know better than that. I'm not going to do that. And I'm looking just like Martin Lawrence in this image, right? Like, some of it looks good, and sometimes you're really hungry, and you got to wait till you leave there, or you got to eat before you come. But if you're hungry, you're looking at it like, I want to eat something, but it looks good because you know what it tastes like, you know what it is, but you also know it's not good for you. So reneging is basically making a choice to do better. And you have to renege and turn your back, like the definition said, on everything that you once knew. And I say everything, I mean everything, right? You must turn your back on everything you once knew. How to renege on old agreements with HBT. First, you got to acknowledge the trauma. You got to realize that these things and acknowledge that these things are not normal. You have to do it. Poverty, death, diets, lifestyle, music, which is a big one. Music keeps stuff alive. If you don't change your playlist, you are still staying stuck, man. I'm telling you. Release the shame. It's not your fault, like I said previously. It is not your fault that HBT happened, as you grew up in certain spaces. Release toxic beliefs. If you walk away, I'm soft. That's the thing that people believe. If you walk away, I'm soft. Like, that don't mean that, bro. That means you're more emotionally intelligent. Just like Trey did, just like I had to. And I felt like I was soft at the time, but that was not what it was. Build healthy practices. Change your environment. Change the people around you. Recreate new pathways, new things to do. Look things. It's nothing you can't find today. Internet is very vast. Like, there's so many things you can find today. Make a change to your environment. And lastly, reconnect to purpose. What am I supposed to learn from the hood? Make me better as a human. What am I supposed to take away from this hood experience to make me better as a human? It happened through you, not to you. You can't heal what you don't name, okay? You can't heal what you don't identify, in other words. If you don't identify it as something, you will never know what it is to get over that thing. It's just a thing over there. So what that name of it is, what I call it, is post-traumatic hood disorders, or PTHDs. Now, am I okay to share something with you all real quick? Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. This is a part of my healing process, so I wanted to share a quick story with y'all. Let me tell you about Christmas at Jerome's. A few years back, about 5 years ago, I went to a Christmas party, a Christmas Eve party, actually, which was basically every year it happened. A friend of mine his birthday is on Christmas Eve, so it's always a party at the Grand Throw for him. So I go over there and we hanging out. There's a guy there I don't know, never seen him before a day in my life. I'm sitting here talking to my friends. Mom, we're catching up. I hadn't seen her in a while. We talking. She's talking about her retirement, everything. We just talking. And this guy walks in and he's looking at me like he has a problem with me, but I don't know who this dude is. And he's like hugging on moms and saying hello. So obviously she knew who he was. But then he comes to me, he tries to give me a handshake, but he does it really hard, like really hard, like. And then he looks at me like he got a problem. And I'm like detecting this. I mean, when you're from the hood, again, here comes that worst of the worst. Here comes that toughness thing. It's coming back. It's starting to trigger it. So when he did it, it led me into that space. Like, oh, yeah, this is going to be a thing. He leaves. He comes back. He does it again. Shake my hand like, and he does it again hard. At this point now, I'm completely infuriated. internally. I'm not showing it because I don't want to do anything in front of his mom, my friend's mom. So my friend comes to the room, we talking. I'm like, yo, man, I'm finna go, bro. I get up, and he walked me outside. And I walk outside. The other guy comes back outside with us. And he comes up to me and to my friend. He's talking and talking. And then he starts to aim his conversation at me. And he's talking to me like he know me, but he's talking about me in a negative way. At that point, I knew I was about to turn everything out rather. And I said, look, man, Jerome, I'm going to leave, bro. I'll see you later. I get in the car, I leave. The whole time I'm driving home, I'm just upset with myself. I'm feeling like I got punked. I'm feeling like these people, I allowed myself to be weak, like yada, yada. I started having all of these regrets and things of what just happened. And it went on for weeks, almost a month probably. But at that time, I was studying my Ori practices at that time that I spoke of before. And when I was studying the stuff, it was letting me know that, yo, these are things you need to let go. You can't become a new person holding on to old ideologies. That thing didn't happen to you. It happened through you. It happened through you to show you that the hood ain't real. Those are just ideologies that you're still carrying. It took me weeks and almost a little over a month to figure that out. Now, I couldn't tell that story in too many places because most people didn't understand it, especially back then. But real healing begins where you can tell stories in a safe space and let it off your chest. I didn't have anywhere to share that with until I went to coaching. So for me, it was a therapy session that allowed me to let all this stuff out. That allowed me to speak my mind and be clear without any judgment. That was the thing for me. That's what helped me to come to this conclusion of what I do now with PTHD. So if you want to get over and heal and get over these and renege on these PTHDs or HBTs, try these methods. Talk it out in therapy. A big one, a huge one. Reconnect to spirituality. There's so many things I can go there with, but I won't go there now. Conduct an ancestral background check. That's a big one because a lot of things you're dealing with is not just you. It's ancestral. It's DNA. Someone handed you a baton that you got to complete. You don't know what's even in the baton. You won't know until you do a background check on where you came from. Write your resume, which is basically your life resume. Resume of life lessons is what I call it. All right. Write a resume. Go over it and figure out what you're great at and what you're weak at. And then create a life plan. Okay. A life plan. People have business plans, but they don't have a life plan, which means they have no idea where they're going. A business plan lets a business know what direction to go, who to seek, who to recruit, who to get sponsored, blah, blah, blah. It lets you know a lot of things. We don't do that for life. We just kind of go haphazardly through life and just hopefully it comes together. Hopefully society knows better than me. But no, you got to connect to your ancestry, do that spiritual work, take some therapy, and then write that plan out. Lastly, remix your playlist. Change the music, even the media that you're looking at, that you're consuming. Change that. Remix that. Replace it with more positivity. You cannot keep listening to Too Short. You cannot keep listening to these people who are giving you nothing but toxic information. And then try to change and renege on hood-based traumas. That's not going to really work out well for you. Jay-Z once said, I can't base who I'm going to be off of what everybody isn't. That came from the title track called So Ambitious. Meaning, my expectations levels must supersede my conditions in order to change my reality. I have to begin to see things differently. I have to be able to see myself in a different space that I may even currently be in. And no matter who's around me that doesn't see it, see the vision and don't understand it because they're suffering from post-traumatic hood disorders and because they have HBTs, they can't see it. So they want to tear you down. But Jay-Z said, I can't base who I'm going to be off of what everybody isn't. That's a real thing, Jay. There's an African proverb that says, it's not a person's laziness, stupidity, or lack of initiative that causes problems in their life. It's what's deeply rooted in their mind that causes their issues. That's from a proverb called Obe Ogunda. What does that mean? Everything we just said. What you have in your mind is what you have in your mind from your experiences. If you want to change those things, you must renege on what's in your mind. You must practice neuroplasticity, rewrite the programs, renege on old ones, let them fall off the cliff, and create new ones. Create new ones. God gave us the ability to practice, to even rewrite these programs called neuroplasticity through the process of neuroplasticity so that we can change our reality. Where you begin is not where you have to end. Doesn't have to be that way. You can rewrite the narrative again and change your life. And in the process of changing your life, you will be a beacon of light for other people around you, your family members, your children, your wife, your husband, aunts, uncles, parents, even sometimes. Somebody has to do it. The question is, why not you? Thank you for watching this presentation. I hope that you get something from this. If you want to contact us, here's our information. You can email me at healpthd@gmail. You can call me at 310-882-9962, or you can go to the website, healpthd.com. If you want to get involved more and you want to know more about what we're doing, any events, hood summits, whatever else we're doing, scan this QR code, register right now, and then we'll reach out to you, contact you. You'll receive the emails and text messages of what we have going on and what we have coming up, including classes and workshops. All right. I hope that this was a good presentation for you. Hope that you got something from it. I ask that you please share this information with everybody you know. I hope to see you really soon. I am going to be out of here, as in right now. Appreciate your time. Thank you all. Ashe. Have a good one.